My parents gave me a sick ultimatum. Either pay off my Trainwreck brothers' $80K debt or be erased from the family bloodline. They deleted me from the family group chat, removed my baby photos from the walls, and even told relatives I was mentally unstable. Then they held a family dinner just to publicly disown me. You are no longer our son. You never were. I didn't flinch. I just smiled and walked out without a word. That night, I did something bigger that ruined everything. Yesterday they got a letter. Now they're falling apart. What the hell is this? We need to talk. Please. Okay, so IDK, where to even start? Because this is like way more insane than anything I ever expected from my family. And Nangle, I'm still kind of in disbelief, but also so mad I could punch a hole in the drywall. So maybe typing this out will help. I guess the first weird thing was when I showed up at my parents' place a couple weeks back and noticed the wall by the stairs was empty, like all the photos gone. Not just mine, but mostly mine. I only really noticed because there was this outline on the wall from where my baby photo used to hang. You know how the wall gets lighter behind a frame? Anyway, I kind of shrugged it off. Figured maybe my mom was deep cleaning or doing her redecorate thing she does every couple years. Didn't. Ask about it. Whatever. So, background. I'm Brett, 29, oldest son. I moved out like 7 years ago. I still live not far. See my parents sometimes. Not super close, but not estranged or anything. My brother Timothy, 27, is the sort of guy who's always got a new mess. My parents have always coddled him. Like if he crashed the car, it was my fault for not advising him better. If he flunked out of something, it was because the world was unfair, not because he was lazy. You get it. I used to care. Now I just keep my distance. So, last month, my mom sends this classic boomer group text to me, and Timothy like, family dinner, Friday night, 7 sharp, everyone must come. And TBH, I almost bailed because I had other plans, but she guilted me, so whatever. I go, Timothy's already at the table when I walk in, looking rough, like he's been living on energy drinks and cigarettes. My dad barely looks up from his phone, which is unusual for him, and my mom is being all fake cheerful, asking if my car is running okay and if I'm managing my finances responsibly. She's never asked that before. So I was like, is this an intervention or what? We sit down, eat overcooked chicken. My mom's stressed food, and it's like no one wants to talk about the elephant in the room. After dessert, my dad finally clears his throat and says, Timothy is in serious trouble. I'm just waiting for it because what's new? But then he says it's 80 grand, not a typo. $80,000. I almost laugh because there's no way, right? My mom jumps in, says it's mostly credit cards, some payday loans, a car loan, one of those quick cash app things, rent, utilities, all in arrears. And then it gets real. My dad says, you're the responsible one. You have savings. You're the only hope for this family. You need to pay it off like it's just a given. Timothy doesn't even say anything, just sits there staring at his empty plate. My mom's voice is wobbling. She's saying, family comes first. And how could I do this to my brother? And don't I remember how much they've done for me? I point out, hey, I'm not a bank. And also, why is this even my problem? Why can't you? Guys, help him! And my dad just snaps, says they've already mortgaged the house for him last year. News to me, and now it's my turn. He says that literally your turn like this is normal. Timothy finally looks up, says, I've always had it easy because I'm the favorite. LOL projection. And I never had to struggle. I say, so your idea of struggling is running up 80 grand in debt and expecting your brother to fix it. My mom's eyes go huge. She pushes her chair back and stands up so fast it almost tips. Says, if you walk out now, you're choosing to never be part of this family again. I just grab my jacket, tell them I'm not doing this, and head for the door. My dad follows, grabs my arm. I shake him off. My mom blocks the door and shouts that I'm selfish, that if I leave, I'm dead to them. Timothy just shrugs like whatever, and says I was never really his brother anyway. My mom slaps the doorway as I walk out, and my dad slams the door behind me. I get in my car. My hands are shaking. I just drive, not even sure where I'm going. I end up at a gas station, sit there for a while, just reading the same text from my mom over and over, which is basically, come back and fix this or you're done. When I get home, I check my phone. I'm out of the family group chat, just gone. I scroll up and all my messages are wiped like I never existed. Then I get a text from my Aunt Nancy asking if I'm okay because my mom called and said I'm going through something and not to be contacted. I tell her I'm fine. She sounds confused. Says she'll call back later. Then it starts getting more awkward. I go to my parents' house to pick up some mail. I still get stuff sent there sometimes. I'd key and my room is empty, like mattress on the floor, no sheets, all my stuff boxed up. I ask Timothy what's going on. He just laughs and says, "You're out, bro. Get used to it." I ask my mom where my things are. She says, "You don't live here anymore. You made your choice." I look around the living room. All the photos with me in them are gone. It's just Timothy, and my parents. Like they're a trio now. I ask my dad seriously, and he says, "You did this to yourself. You made your bed, now lie in it." I take my mail, leave. My mom blocks the door, says, "You can come back if you do the right thing." I step around her. She slams the door so hard the glass rattles. Next week, I start getting random texts from cousins, old friends, people I haven't talked to in ages, all saying, "Hang in there. Hope you're okay. Let us know if you need anything." I ask what's up, and they all say, "Oh, your mom called. Said, you're having a hard time. That you're unstable." At this point, I'm just mad. Like, they're actually trying to rewrite the story. So, I'm the one with issues, not Timothy, not them. So Friday night, I get a call from my cousin Kate. She says my parents invited everyone to a big family dinner, like super formal. Some people even brought wine, which is not normal for my family. I wasn't invited. I wasn't even mentioned. She asks if I'm coming, and I say, "Not unless they drag me." She says it's weird, like there's something up next day. I get a text from my dad. Says I'm expected at dinner. I ignore. Then Timothy calls. Just says, "Show up or you'll regret it." I don't know why, but I go. Maybe I want to see what they'll pull. Maybe I just want to stare them down when I get there. It's like some fake holiday. Everyone dressed up. My mom's got her hair done. My dad's in his best shirt. Timothy's wearing a suit. The whole house smells like that generic candle they use for holidays. Everyone is there except me. Like I'm physically there, but not mentioned. No one even looks at me after dinner. My dad stands up, taps his glass, says, "Thanks for coming. There's an announcement." He says, sometimes people choose to turn their backs on family, and sometimes for the good of the group, you have to let them go. He says, from now on, Brett is no longer our son. He never was. We hope you'll support us and not contact him anymore. My mom is crying, but not in a sad way. More like she's relieved. Timothy is grinning. My aunt Linda says, "This is sick." My uncle just leaves without saying anything. People are whispering. A few try to say something, but my dad just raises his hand and repeats, "He is not our son." I stare at them for a minute, waiting for someone to blink. No one does. I just stand up, look at my dad, then my mom, then Timothy. Nobody says anything. I walk out. Someone shoves my shoulder on the way. I don't even see who. I hear a door slam. I get in my car, sit there for a while, scrolling through my phone, deleting old photos, blocking numbers. Not even sad, just angry. That night, I sat up and started writing down everything they'd ever used me. Every time I'd bailed them out. Every bill in my name. Everything I'd signed for because they begged me. All the little ways they leaned on me. All the things I could blow up if I wanted. And I started thinking, FR, I could do way more damage than they realize. So, yeah, that's where we're at. Next part's going to be uglier. Let's see how they handle it when I'm the one pulling the strings for once. Update 1. NGL. If you told me a year ago my parents would nuke our whole family just to save Timothy, I'd laugh and say they're not that nuts. But here we are. You know what's even more wild? After the disowning dinner, LOL. Still hate that I even have a phrase for that. I thought they'd at least let it cool off, but nope. It just kept getting weirder. It's like they wanted to erase me in 4K. First thing I noticed, my Spotify family account gone. Not a big deal, whatever. But then, my old Apple ID locked out. Joint Amazon account cancelled, which fine. I can live without the free shipping. But then, I get a text from my old neighbor asking if I knew my parents were telling people I'd moved away for mental health reasons. Like what? I'm literally at my apartment binging YouTube and eating leftover pizza. Nothing dramatic. So, yeah, that's when I realized they weren't just mad, they were campaigning. I started paying attention to the stuff they were saying. My Aunt Nancy texts again, says she got a call from my mom, and she was crying saying she doesn't know if I'm safe and maybe I'm off my meds. I've never even been on med. I tell Nancy I'm good. She says she believes me, but IDK. You can tell she's hedging. My Uncle Dave texts me next, but he's way more blunt. Just says, "What's going on? Your mom says you snapped at dinner." I tell him straight, and he just sends back a thumbs up emoji. Classic Dave. So, I start collecting the stuff they're saying. I mean, they're not even being subtle. I get this one text from a cousin I haven't heard from in years. She says, "Sorry about everything. Hope you're getting help." I ask, "Help for what?" She says, "Your mom said you had a breakdown and it's not your fault." Like, okay, sure, this is getting ridiculous. But then I start thinking, if they're going to play dirty, I'm not sitting out. I'm not built for just taking the L. I start, with the stuff I know I'm still technically a cosigner or account holder for a bunch of things. Not because I'm nice, but because they always needed someone with good credit to get deals or loans or whatever. My dad always said, "Just sign here. It helps us all save a little." I never thought it would come back to bite me. So, I dig into my old paperwork. Start with the basics. My name is still on the family phone plan. I'm still a co-licant on there. Car insurance. I even find an old car loan in my name that Timothy's been paying, which LOL explains some of the random overdraft fees I got last year. I also find out after looking at some old emails that my parents listed me as a guarantor for a loan when they did some home repairs 5 years ago. I never paid attention, just signed because they said it was easier than explaining it to the bank. Yeah, I'm an idiot. But whatever, now I know. So I start making calls. No drama, just slow and steady. I call the phone company. Tell them to take me off the account. They say if I do that, the plan will reset, and everyone else has to get new lines or pay more. I say, "Yep, sounds good." I call the insurance police. Say, "I want my name off the policy." Lady says, "You know, that'll make their rates go way up, right?" I say, "Yeah, I'm aware for the car loan." I send an email CC my dad saying, "I want to remove myself, and I'm not responsible for future payments." They say Timothy has to refinance or pay it off. I send him a text, just a screenshot, no words. The best part, none of this is illegal. It's just me not being their crutch anymore. First week, nothing happens. Second week, I start getting texts from random numbers like, "Is this about the phone bill?" My mom leaves a voicemail. Her voice, all shaky, says, "Please call me. We need to talk. This is all a misunderstanding." My dad tries to call too, but I don't answer. Timothy texts me. Just a middle finger emoji. Then I start getting mail for overdue stuff at my apartment. Turns out the utilities at their house are in my name. Electric, water, even the trash bill. I didn't even know. I go online and request to take myself off everything. The companies say they have to notify the account holders. So now my parents are getting letters, emails, and texts that they need to transfer or the service stops. I get a call from my mom. She's yelling, says I'm ruining everything. She needs time to fix this. Why am I being cruel, etc. I just hang up. It's honestly kind of funny, but also I'm not doing this for laughs. I want them to feel it. Like, really feel it. Not just have a bad week and move on. They wanted to erase me. Fine. Let's see how they, like having their lives fall apart a little. Timothy tries to get in my face a couple days later. I'm coming out of my apartment building. He's parked out front, blasting music. Leans out the window, says, "You think you're smart? You're screwing." Over mom and dad, not me. I tell him, "You brought this on yourself." He gets out, tries to shove me. I shove back. Neighbor sees, yells at us to take it somewhere else. Timothy calls me a psycho, says you'll regret this, and drives off, tires squealing like an idiot. Later, I get a text from my dad, says I need to stop punishing them, that I'm acting like a child, that I need to think about what family means. My mom texts me the next day, says, "If I keep going, I'll regret it, and she'll make sure everyone knows what I've done." I call my Aunt Linda, just a vent, and she's like, "Honestly, no one believes half the crap your parents are saying, but they're making it real awkward for everyone." She says, "Your mom is blowing up the family group chat with stories about how you're unstable, how you're taking away their home, just wild stuff." I say, "Thanks for telling me, but I'm not backing down." I start documenting everything. Every call, every text, every time they try to guilt trip or threaten me. I keep screenshots, notes, even record a couple of voicemails. Not because I need it for court or whatever, just because I want to remember who they really are when this all shakes out. A couple days later, my cousin Kate sends me a photo from a family lunch, and it's just Timothy and my parents at the table smiling like nothing happened. She says, "IDK, what's happening?" But it's weird. Your mom keeps telling everyone you're out of the picture for your own good. I tell her, just wait. They'll be singing a different tune soon. I keep pushing. I send formal letters to the bank and the loan company, CCC, my parents, saying I'm no longer backing any family loans, that I withdraw my consent for anything else in my name. I send a certified letter about the utilities just to make it official. I email my parents a list of every single thing they've put in my name, with dates and copies of old bills, and tell them to handle their own damn lives from now on. Then the calls get desperate. My mom tries crying, then yelling, then begging. My dad texts me, says, "You're being cruel. We did everything for you." Timothy just spams me with memes and calls me a loser. I start getting calls from numbers I don't know. Probably relatives, but I don't answer. At some point, my Aunt Nancy calls again, says, "Your parents are freaking out. They're telling everyone you're sabotaging the family, but honestly, most people are just tired of the drama." I ask her if she believes me, and she says, "I want to, but it's all so messy." I just say, "That's life." I guess the last straw for my parents, I think, is when they get the final letter from the insurance company and the bank on the same day. Everything in my name gone. My mom leaves a voicemail just sobbing. Says, "You're destroying your own family? How could you?" I listen to it once, then delete it. I'm not sorry, not even a little. They wanted me out. Now they get to see what that actually means. And I'm just getting started. Next step's the one they won't see coming. Update 2. So I thought after pulling myself out of their finances and shutting down all the stuff in my name, things would just go quiet for a while. Not even close. If anything, it ramped up. And any gel, it's almost impressive how far my parents would go to save face, even as their world started to fall apart. It was little things at first. My cousin Kate messaged me, just asking if I'd blocked mom on everything, because apparently my mom was calling her every day, now saying I was ruining the family, and she didn't know how I could be so cruel. Kate's not even close to my mom. So, she was more annoyed than anything, but she said the calls were getting weirder. Mom was crying on the phone talking about how she never saw this coming, how I'd changed. I just said, if she wants to talk, she knows my number. She just doesn't. Want to hear what I'd say. Then I get a real letter in the mail, which almost never happens anymore. Dad's handwriting just says, "You need to fix this. Things are getting serious." Apparently, the utilities transfer went through, and their power bill shot up, and their BOSE's phone bill reset, so they lost their numbers. Dad says, "You can't just walk away from family." I read it, then tossed it in the trash. Timothy tried to call me on some random number, left a voicemail that was mostly him, complaining about how he couldn't get a new car loan now thanks to me. And he said, if I was going to be this petty, he'd even the score, whatever that mean. I didn't reply. So now my parents are getting hit with all the real-world stuff they never see coming because I always bailed them out. My mom called my Aunt Nancy, who called me asking if I could at least help them transition the bills. I said, they're grown-ups. They can handle it. Nancy sighed and said, you know, your mom is telling everyone you're dangerous now. I said, she can say what she wants. Nancy said, this is getting ugly. Maybe you should just let it go. I told her, you wouldn't say that if you knew everything. My dad started texting more, all caps, saying I was destroying the family legacy. He said, if I don't come fix things, he'll tell everyone I'm stealing from. I just replied, tell them whatever you want. I have receipts. Never heard back from him after that. Meanwhile, the real fallout starts. My mom posted a weird paragraph on Facebook about letting go of toxic people and how sometimes you have to make hard choices. My Uncle Dave texted me a screenshot and said, she's losing it, man. I just laughed. Timothy started showing up at my place once, even waited outside the building. He tried to block my way in, said I owed him, shoved me backwards when I wouldn't. Let him get in my face. I shoved him back, told him if he touched me again, I'd call the super. He said, you're not family. You never were. And stormed off, slapping the wall on the way out. I just went inside. I found out from a random email that my parents were trying to use my info to get a new loan. Bank flagged it because my details didn't match any. I called the bank, told them straight up I wasn't involved, don't use my name, and if anyone tried again to call me. They said no problem. Flagged the account. The next week, 2 different relatives texted me asking if I was okay because Mom told them I was unstable and not myself lately. I told them I was fine, that my parents were being dramatic. One of them, my cousin Lorenzo, actually called me out, said, if you're really fine, why are you blowing up the family? I just told him he doesn't know half the story, and if he wants to pick sides, that's on him. He hung up. Then the money stuff hit hard. Timothy's car got repossessed. I guess he missed payments after I pulled out. Mom called screaming, left a voicemail blaming me for destroying your brother's future. I played it on speaker for a friend just to make sure I wasn't overreacting, and he just whistled and shook his head. The family group chat, which obviously I'm not in it, started leaking to me via screenshots. My Aunt Linda sent me a couple just wild accusations like that I'd stolen from them, that I was meddling in their finances, that I was mentally unstable. Linda said, people are starting to ask questions, so you might want to say your side. I told her, I'm not running some PR campaign. They can think what they want. Then my parents started getting calls from the utility companies, insurance bank, basically everyone I'd pulled out from. Dad texted me, said, you're going to regret this. I don't reply. I sent an email to the whole family, not my parents, just laying it out. I'm not paying off Timothy's debt. I'm not responsible for their bills. I'm not mentally unstable. I just refuse to be used anymore. Attached some screenshots of old texts from my parents asking for money, proof that I'd paid. For stuff before, that kind of thing. I kept it dry, no drama. A couple people replied, mostly supportive, but a few were mad. Said, I should have just kept quiet. That family is more important than money. One cousin just said, you should talk to your mom. She's not eating. I said, she's a grown woman, not my problem. Timothy tried to show up again. This time, I met him at the door, told him he wasn't coming in. He called me a coward, tried to push past me. I blocked him. He slapped his hand on the door frame, said I'd regret this, and left. My parents finally sent another letter. This one a full-on guilt trip about how they sacrificed everything for me and how I was throwing it away for a grudge. I just put it in the pile with the others. The last thing that really pushed them over the edge, I think, was when the insurance sent them a notice that their premiums tripled. Apparently, my name was the only reason they got the good rate. Mom called my Aunt Nancy in tears. Nancy called me, said, "Is there any way you can help just this once?" I said, "No, not even a little." Nancy said, "You're being cold." I said, "You don't know what they've done." I could tell the family was splitting in real time. Half of them started ignoring me. Half of them started ignoring my parents. And everyone just kept getting angrier. I sent my parents one last thing. Not a letter, just a plain list of every single thing I'd signed for, every bill I'd paid, every time I'd bailed out Timothy or them, with dates and amounts. Ended it with, "Don't ever contact me again unless it's to apologize." Didn't hear anything for a few days. Then yesterday, my dad called. Left a voicemail saying, "What the hell is this? We need to talk, please." My mom texted me, "Just please call." I didn't answer. So, yeah, they wanted to erase me. All I did was make it real. Let's see what happens when they finally realize there's no one left to clean up their mess. One more thing to do. This last bit is going to hurt the most. Final update. So, I woke up yesterday to like a dozen missed calls, a couple of voicemails, and way more texts than any normal morning should have. I knew instantly it was something big, because my parents don't call me unless it's an emergency. And after everything, I figured they'd finally gotten the letter I sent out last week. Not just an email or a text this time, but a hard copy. Certified mail, signature required. Yeah, I went full official. The letter was just a list. Nothing. Flowery. I put every single bill, every loan, every favor I ever signed for. All the stuff I'd already pulled my name from. The proof that it was done. And I was out. And then a breakdown of exactly how much they'd leaned on me over the years. Didn't say sorry. Didn't say I loved them. Just facts with dates and numbers. I CC'd 2 aunts and 1 uncle, because I knew they'd been getting the Brett's unstable story for weeks, and I wanted them to see what was actually going on. So yeah, the fallout started about an hour after mail got delivered. First text from my dad. "What the hell is this?" Then one from my mom. "Please, we need to talk." Then another call us. "It's urgent." I didn't call. I was making coffee, watching old YouTube clips, just letting the notifications pile up. Turns out the timing was even better than I thought, because they also got the last round of bills that morning. Utilities all switched over, and now overdue. Insurance premiums 3 times what they used to be. Bank loan flagged and frozen until they refinanced in their own names. My cousin Lorenzo messaged me on Instagram. Said Mom was blowing up his phone trying to get him to talk some sense into me. He wanted to know what was going on, so I just forwarded him the same list. He said, "Damn, I had no idea." I just replied, "Yeah, nobody did." My Aunt Nancy called, said my mom was hysterical, claiming I'd ruined them. And Nancy wanted to know if I could at least talk to her for closure. I said, "Closure for what?" She said, "This is tearing the family apart. I told her they started it. I just finished it." Nancy sighed, said I was being stubborn, but also that she understood kind of. Timothy, of course, had to make it about him. He showed up at my apartment again, tried to get in the building, but this time I just let him yell on the intercom. He called me a traitor, said I destroyed his life, called me a couple of names I won't type out here. I told him through the speaker, "You did this to yourself." He punched the front door, which set off my neighbor's dog, and then he stormed off. I got a text 10 minutes later, just a photo of his towed car with a middle finger emoji. I heard from Kate, my cousin, that the family chat exploded, like people actually left the group. My Uncle Dave apparently tore into my dad about the whole thing, said he was sick of the drama, and if they wanted to cut off family, they could do it alone. A few cousins unfollowed my mom on Facebook, which L is basically digital exile for her. The weirdest part was how quick it all unraveled. One day, it's all denial and pretending I never existed. Then bam, now it's panic and pleading. My mom texted again, this time actually apologizing, saying she didn't mean it, that she was just scared, that Timothy was sick and she was desperate. My dad sent a text saying I was still his son, that we could work it out if I just helped a little bit. Just this once. I didn't reply. They started calling other relatives to get them to mediate. But most of my family is just tired at this point. Even my grandma called, and she never takes sides, but she told me she was sorry for what happened, and that I should focus on my own life for now. Honestly, that was the only thing anyone said that actually landed. I found out from a friend that my parents tried to get another loan using their own credit, but since their finances are a mess now, they didn't get approved. My mom called the bank manager and apparently made a scene. Classic. Timothy is the only one who hasn't tried to make peace. He sent me a wall of texts about how I'll regret this for the rest of my life. How I'm a terrible brother, how I've doomed him. He blocked me after that. Not really a loss. I started getting little messages from people I barely know, like old neighbors or family friends, saying they'd heard some crazy stuff about my family and wanted to check on me. Some of them believed I'd lost it. Some just wanted gossip. But the ones who actually cared got the facts. A couple were shocked. Most just said, "Sorry, hope it gets better." So yeah, the practical fallout is wild. My parents are stuck paying way more for everything. Their credit is trashed. Timothy is in the wind, and the rest of the family is just tired. I can tell my parents are scrambling now, trying to patch things up, but they're not getting anywhere. Even the people who used to take their side are keeping their distance. I started cleaning up my own mess after all this. Changed passwords, set up new accounts, checked my credit just to be. I went for a walk, got coffee, sat in the park for a bit, just trying to let it all sink in. Not some big healing moment or anything. Just needed a break from the chaos. It's not like everything is fixed, and it's not like I feel triumphant or whatever. It's just done. Like I'm out. They made it clear I was replaceable, so I replaced myself. I don't owe them anything, and now they actually have to live with it. If anyone is reading this, hoping for some big we made up ending, sorry, that's not happening. I'm not going back. Not even if they beg. I did what I had to do, and honestly, I don't regret it. They played stupid games and won stupid prizes. That's the realest thing I can say. So yeah, that's it. Not the kind of family story I ever thought I'd tell, but here we are. If anyone's in a similar spot, Farner, don't let people walk all over you just because they share your last name. Sometimes you got to pull the plug and let them sink. If they wanted a scapegoat, they picked the wrong.